I'ma preach that shit to get your soul ignited. We was unified until our souls divided. Crack the universe until our souls united. Remove polarity and now the poles collided. If I call you brother or my mother, you day one. I'ma make it to the top, never forget where I came from. A lot of y'all be claiming y'all from places y'all ain't from. If you ain't shadow working on the game, man, you can't come, let me say something. Manipulate, we know what we do, but we play dumb. Ego trick a higher conscious into thinking that ain't one. Listen to my words, see the picture, I'll paint one. Cuneiform, Sumerian tablets, ancient inscriptions, hieroglyphs, all through the caverns, ancient Egyptian. Crop circles, Fibonacci sequence, spaceship encryptions, telepathic, holographic, the way I paint the description. When picture says 1,000 words, one word can say 1,000 pictures. Who knew metaphysics and hip hop will be the perfect mixture? Then I create what I speak, all these bars are elixirs. These bars are from the stars, call them Akashic scriptures. Yeah, everybody counting me out. Got the only one counting me in. Manifesting all my dreams, no doubt. Pay to love me either way I'm going. Pay to love me either way I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. Pay to love me either way I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. Love me or hate me or love me. I ball hard like rugby. Lie but don't trust me or trust me, they lying. I swear that they must be. It's always just something. Always just fronting. The ego be bluffing. Taking shackles off, the ego be cuffing. Same picture, different frames. Same shit, different toilet paper. Gain a little more awareness, but you still a hater. You might be showing different colors, but you still that flavor. Talking all this unity, but they be instigators. Third eye, man to man, you ain't got no integrity. Fuck what you preaching if you ain't practicing what you pledged to me. All that is dead to me if you ain't living and leaving your legacy. Shout out to higher self for always being ahead of me. Inspire the best of me. This is my destiny, this is the recipe. Know my worth, know my value. Never let them think less of me. Shout out to the universe, cause I be knowing it's testing me. Shout out to the source for inhaling and exhaling the breath in me. Shout out to the universe, cause I be knowing it's testing me. Shout out to the source for inhaling and exhaling the breath in me. Yeah, everybody counting me out. Got the only one counting me in. Manifesting all my dreams, no doubt. Pay to love me either way I'm going. Pay to love me either way I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. Pay to love me either way I'm going. I'm going, I'm going. Pay to love me either way I'm going. I'm going, I'm going. Pay to love me either way I'm going. I'm going, I'm going.
All right, I'm back. Peace and chaos. My bad. I don't think I was plugged in when we first streamed. But did y'all miss me? What's up with the family? Shout out to the Nagas and Fangs. Make sure you support that artist, Third Eye Indigo. The song is called Hate or Love Me, produced by Keymaker Beats. So please support those high frequency artists, bringing that sizzles in the midst of that or this GMO era of music. And Third Eye Indigo is spelled 3, the number 3, RDI Indigo. He has a YouTube. Make sure to run his views up and make sure you like this video, because I'm not getting a whole lot of likes per view, fam. But I understand. I've been gone for a minute, so that's on me, family. I'm gonna explain that in a minute, but it's good to be back, and we're gonna start pumping out some more videos and content on YouTube for the YouTube family. Arim Poya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see y'all up in there. Hollow Vegeta. Mike and Ryan, Little Beneficial. I see you, Janae. All right, Janae. Brian up in there. Yeah, make sure you hit that like button and share the video. This is a very, very important video for this channel. And yes, we're early today. It's 12 p.m. or it's about 12:20 now on the East Coast. And there was a lot of reasons why it had to be around this time, but we usually go live in the evening. So, cherish this because this doesn't happen this much. But the rest of the family that's at work, they'll hear the playback. But we're here. This is a YouTube master class. And this is how we do it on Patreon. This is the style we do it. So we can get the most spiritual information that we can for the week and start to crack those source codes inwardly. So there will be a lot to absorb today, but this is what level you have to be on. We're talking PhD spirituality and metaphysics. And if you're new, I'm going to give my email right now. It's startribe777@gmail.com. My name is Ani Osaru. I've been a spiritual counselor for 8 years. I would be more than willing to engage with anyone that's new looking on this channel, that's trying to grow their spirituality. Or you can join the Patreon, be a part of our community. But I would love for you to reach out to me because there's going to be a lot of info packed in the video. So if you feel like you need to have a one-on-one basis, some type of similar experience that you may come across that I share today, or you may remember, we have tremendous spiritual discussions on here. And on Patreon as well, we allow everyone to be who they are. But all the links to everything is in the tab. Click that tab, and you'll get the links to my Patreon, email, and everything else. So yes, welcome all of my new subscribers and newcomers from social media. This is the Spiritual Shade Room in convergence with the Nagaverse Network, Truth Mafia, and Camouflage Academy on Patreon. And we get busy with the info, decoding this layered reality. Can't speak this early. We live in a place where people believe more outside themselves than their inward potential. In the demiurge's playground, where critical thinking is non-existent and celebrities have the attention of the masses at all but a split second of headline news. So this is a place where presidents can get indicted 4 times and still run for another campaign. But if one person get a felony charge, that automatically disqualifies a person from voting forever. By the way, the word voting means a wishful spell. That's a whole other discussion. But my job is to educate the masses, and educate is Latin for educare. Our teacher, master teacher, Bobby Hemmett, used to explain that educare means to draw out the highest states of elevated awareness on how to understand the nature of different realities, of what's actually happening in this world. That's what we do on this channel. But we do it in advanced forms of manifestation. So you can take your power back and acquire the ability to define phenomena and then make it act in a desired manner. So for those who have been patient on this channel, I'm going to do some content for my YouTube family this month because July was a beast of a month, family. July was a beast. Damn. So you all have to forgive me. Even on Patreon, I haven't been doing as much, even though we managed to do a video, at least 2 or 3 videos a week. But we are getting ready for the Call Us by Our Name Ancestors Spiritual Retreat here in Columbia, South Carolina. A lot of my time have been dedicated to preparing for this September 22nd through the 23rd. So the original spiritual retreat was moved back, those of you who don't know, because the person who was building the pavilion where all of the performances and speakers were going to be, I don't know, something spiritual happened, and the person, the architect or the contractor, he passed away suddenly. So we received a phone call and they told us it wasn't going, the pavilion wasn't going to be built in time. They told us we could continue, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to do a retreat without that. So we pushed it back to September, and I think it was ancestral because a lot of people can make it now. Maybe you yourself can now. So it's going to be here in Columbia, South Carolina, September 22nd through the 23rd. By the way, the word Columbia, very special word. It translates to Isis by the way of its transliteration, Columboria. Columboria was an ancient burial rite. Matter of fact, the skull and crossbones get their symbol from it, which we're going to break that down today, skull and crossbones. But Columbia, South Carolina, had its inception before our nation's capital, the District of Columbia in Washington. And the reason why Columbia is important for us to have this retreat, America's chief patron goddess is Columbia. A lot of people don't know this. The goddess of America name is Columbia. And all of this is Masonic. This is the goddess of Columbia. But all of this is Masonic and taken from Typhonian, melanated Egyptian semiotics. And this is also the lady holding the torch in movies. Y'all know this right here. This is the goddess Columbia. The goddess Columbia, you see it in there at the end of every movie, or probably at the beginning in some movies. And this is details that a lot of people don't know. Let me know if I start lagging, because I don't see my chat moving right now. I remember last time they erased my whole chat. You know? Can't wait to have you at the retreat, family. So this is Isis. And I could break all of that down, all of the symbolism of why she holds the torch. But anyways, Columbia is where the retreat is taking place. Is located on the 33rd ley line. The 33rd ley line. I want you to get a book. Go get the book, Gaia Matrix. Let me show you this real quick. Yeah, here it goes right here. I want you to get this book right here. Let's see if it let me blow it up. This one is forbidden. Well, I'll just click the link directly so you can see it. Okay, so the book is called Gaia Matrix, Arkham and the Geometries of Destiny in the North American Landscape. I don't think it's really $52. It may be, but it's by the author Peter Champeau. Peter Champeau. And when you get this book, you're going to start to understand these ley lines, these dragon paths. And it's going to tell you why the 33rd ley line where Colombia is, where our retreat is taking place. It's going to tell you why it's very important. And the book is showcasing how the earth is one big crystal. The earth is one big crystal of vector geometry. And the area that the retreat is taking place on is a memory line of the primordial earth. And that's why they named it after a chief patron goddess. And our state house here in Colombia, where I live, is built on top of a Native American mound called Arsenal Hill. So we are going to venerate those ancestors in a tremendous way, September 22nd through the 23rd, because we have our state's best archer coming to the retreat to teach you how those Native Americans defended their territories. And she's a beast in what she does. No one ever brings that type of science to their retreats. We're going to have all types of things: horseback riding for adults and kids. So kids is welcome as well. We're going to have Reiki healing, yoga classes. Dr. Angel Green is coming out to teach crystallography. People that's into crystals, you need to know how to charge your crystals and what each crystal does. We're going to have indigenous law presented by Dr. Sakima Bey. We're also going to have Dave from Generation Z presenting longitudinal technology, ufological biophysics. Also, we'll have Nadira Aisha presenting chakra healing. We'll have shamans giving plant medicine. And we'll have vendors, a lot of vendors. So it's going to be a heck of an event. Plugging my infomercial right now, and we want to see you there. So you can purchase your ticket at our store website today. You can go to Ankh Life Store. Ankh, ANKH Life Store. And there's different tiers based on what you want for your ticket. So appreciate that, family. So yeah, I've been tirelessly working on that. And I've been in the shop, of course. Y'all know, trying to get things going in the holistic shop and getting this content ready for you all. So I'm only coming off an hour and 45 minutes of sleep today, everyone. So after this video, I may crash till my next interview tonight. I'll be on the Beyond the Forbidden YouTube channel later on tonight. And then I have to finish off the work week after that. But I promise we are going to have YouTube back lit starting with this video. So I hope we are all in good health, good spirit, and that we are engaging in our spiritual practices effectively to acquire universal attributes, and that we are properly inserting our souls into the esoteric praxis of our destiny threads. So today is going to be a beast of info. And we're going to get into some of the science of Ayurvedic mudra physics, how it's beneficial to the well-being of our souls, and some other processes of learning how to turn our vessels, which is the human body, into a term called the agalma, which is a shrine, turning the vessel, the body, into a shrine. So we'll get into that. Of course, the name of today's lecture is Gnostic Genetics, the physics of divine possession. And a lot of people were telling me, you sure been pumping out the physics aspect. Every video has physics in it. Yeah, because that's how we learn these things. That's how we learn how it works. That's all it is breaking down. So the divine possession is important because today I'm going to show you how the Jesuits have been searching for a gateway of divine possession. Somebody may ask, how can you be divinely possessed? I ask the same question, but this is a science that they're studying, and we'll explain exactly what divine possession is. You got to let me build this thing up, let it slow roast a little bit, and we'll get there. But they're searching for a gateway, the Jesuits, of divine possession to fuse their egregore with the watcher predatory hierarchy. I want you to look into something. After you get the book, The Gaia Matrix, I want you to go look into the first tarot deck, the Tarochi. Used to call it the Tarochi deck, but it's called the Solar Busca tarot deck, because this is going to encode some high occult secrets. And I did a video on it on my old channel, but I want to reintroduce it to the public because it's very important that you understand this deck as you get your PhD in metaphysics here on this channel. In this deck is called the Solar Busca deck. It was developed during the Italian Renaissance, and it's called the Game of Saturn. And I'm going to show you what these pictures are entailing. In this deck, what they're doing, they're showing, or they've carved a magical operation alchemically into the esoterica that these pictographs provide. The main factor that separates this deck is that it has absolutely no Christian symbolism in it whatsoever. There is no other tarot deck in existence that doesn't follow somewhat excerpts out of Christian theology. So each card in this deck shows the Chthonian, the word Chthon or Chthon. You hear chthonic, that's talking about the whole Cthulhu thing, means a underworld spirit or a underworld realm. So the cards are showing Chthonian relationships to the cosmos opposite to that of the solar. And the chthonic forces is what a person needs to defend their estate. So the energies that people work with today is far more lower of an order of the owners who constructed this deck. So the deck is a interdimensional penetration into the eye of other realities, constituting the multiple orders of beings. It's real heavy, family. So what they're doing, they're appeasing this predatory hierarchical egregore, and this deck shows you, they're showing you exactly how to reincarnate back into Illuminati bloodlines. What type of sacrifices, what type of rituals you have to do, what type of, the pictographs is showing a story of the soul, or a line, a path, more of a path that you can participate in to join the predatory rankings of an egregore. That means the cosmic predators. Some people like being slaves in the physical, and they would love to be the managerial class over the planet if they could sacrifice their soul in the process to be that managerial class over humanity. So they studied this for generations and passed it down from generation to generation. And the Jesuits found the science of it during the Italian Renaissance. Hold on, you guys, can you guys see my pictures? Put a thumbs up if you can see the pictures clearly. Is that better for everyone? All right, we're good. So, shout out to Tommy Truthful. I'm gonna have to go back on Tommy Truthful real soon. He did a video yesterday. Make sure to go to truthmafia.com. And Tommy Truthful was doing a video on Hawaii right now. This is a mass sacrifice. So they have to appease this predatory hierarchical egregore by mass sacrifice. And looking at what happened to Hawaii, clearly this was an energy weapon. And we're going to discuss why they do sacrifice, which some of us should understand by now. HARP isn't what people on the internet tell you what it is. You have to get the DOD documents. And those documents will tell you that HARP, it actually stands for HA cubed, R squared, P squared. It's actually a mathematical equation to a binding entity technology. In actuality, standing for high frequency activated auroral atmospheric resonance research projection program. And the actual facility of the technology would be referred to a ionic spirit or ionospheric, conductor array project site. Ionospheric conductor array project site. Kind of a tongue twister. And what that is a scalar weather war weapon. And Tommy Truthful provided these images, which I talked about years ago on my Patreon, on how they can enact these mass destructions and just call it a weather event. Yes, directed energy weapons. You say all your friends in Maui live there. Shout out to Black Aquaman. There was really a Black Aquaman in that Montgomery brawl, right? I'm sorry, it is scalar. It's scalar weather war weapon. Thank you for your correction. Same as Paradise. Yeah, Paradise Valley went up in the flames. I remember that story. And it's connected to the smart dust. I'm going to talk about smart dust today. So, let's get to the heavy information early. How and what should we be doing to try and get some of this recuperation in this spiritual war that they've initiated? There's two paths. Either you serve a God or you become God. The two paths is called the Saguna and the Nirguna. And if you would require me to explain that more in depth, I will. It's an option, but we can reserve it for later if you remind me. But if not, it's simple. You have to become a deity to defeat this evil, and you have to know the code. You have to understand that code. So you got to choose what path you want to be. You want to serve a deity or you want to become one. And we do that by understanding the importance of analyzing metaphysics, occultism, the true continuity of what the Christological story entails for our soul, knowing how gematria works. We did 3 classes on Urban X. Shout out to Black Dot, the brother Black Dot and his son Malcolm. On my Patreon, we did 3 classes: the basics of gematria 101, we did an intermediate 102 class, then we did an advanced 103 class. And in a nutshell, gematria is the Jewish Kabbalistic numerical secret ciphers of the Illuminati. And the reason why they would use this thing, let me get some images up so you can see what I'm talking about. The reason why they would use this thing is to show how sorcery can be used subquantumly in the destiny threads of our livelihood by knowing the vibratory rate of each number and what it encompasses. So there are angel numbers, but they don't tell you about the demon numbers. And the numbers, which I explain in my classes in depth, they're plasma interface membranes versus a Bose-Einstein condensate. So that's a whole video by itself that I did years ago. But even more, you have to understand this. These are called control numbers. I can't go back into it. The class is all on Patreon. So you go back into it on Patreon. What's going on, Carolyn? You said the class, shout out to Simone. Classes were amazing. Y'all should most definitely check them out. Yeah, there's an opposite as well. You're not going to get this information nowhere else. Shout out to 101. We got 101 up in here. Shout out to that brother. So you don't get this info literally but on Patreon. And these control numbers, I'm giving most of the control numbers here. Everything is controlled through these numbers, but there's a plasmic interface membrane to it. We got to go into plasma cosmotheology today and angelology to explain this stuff. We'll have to go into demonology, but we're always in that in this society. But even more, you have to know the physics of the soul. And the physics of darkness is the physics of the soul. But the word number comes from an Egyptian, a Kemetic god by the name of Nimti, because the word number is root. Etymology is Nim. And the science of numbers come from the Chaldeans, where they made symbols by calculating the vibratory cymatics of the stars and encapsulating them in a geometric shape to show the vibratory measurement calculation of each and every one of these sub-quantum fields that our consciousness is in bombardment with. You see what I'm saying? This god Nimti is the key. He's actually a form of Horus. And the word number comes from Nim and Nimti. That's all in the classes on Patreon. We won't get into that. So, in the physics of darkness, necro yoga is something you're going to have to get to know about. Even the Patreon, they don't know. Some of you who's been on Patreon for at least 2 years know about necro yoga. That is what the occult world calls it. But there's a book that I've translated that I'm going to be selling to anyone who wants it. And I'll be releasing it to my patrons on Patreon, which have rare info on the physics of light and darkness in a relationship. And this is notes from the book. It's in a relationship to solution and resolution within the coagula of compression and radiation exposure. It's all physics. And it's showing what exists. So if you have a problem with these physics terms, you can get the book. And the book has footnotes to guide you through it. But it shows what exists in the square radius of a negative quadrature, in a regular quadrature. And it shows that C in an equation equals the speed of light inside dimension M. M representing the total mass of energy transmuted in dramatic consequences to when M, which is mass, becomes negative. And in magic, in the physics of darkness, they're trying to find how to annihilate a universe subquantumly, which physicists postulate is the antimatter code to how UFOs or UAPs pop out of equilibrium states where positrons can open invisible planes of existence. On Patreon, I did a video called Antimatter Christ Physics, and I gave you all of the details to that. So you'll have that as well. We did it on Generation Z, on how they can pop in and out of dimensions. And even David Grush. Anybody heard of this guy, David Grush? The whole whistleblower talking about the UFOs and mentioning what he said, the UFOs are black cubes in the sky. That's like the only literal information that I don't even think is different from some cases, but it definitely changes your mind on some of the things. But you got to understand that these people, why would the government disclose info to you about UFOs? My images didn't load. He talked about the red squares, yeah, the size of a football field. This guy is a high-ranking Freemason. And you best believe him pledging, having that melanated man in the back, that man behind him, his name is Elijah. This guy name is David. You got to know biblically the code to David and Elijah. Elijah being the highest of high priestess. He is the most famous priest in the Bible. And even in the Jewish text, it says that when the Israelites were in trouble, God will send Elijah into a flesh form to incarnate, which the Nation of Islam did receive Elijah in America. But David, the father of Solomon, going back into demonology, Christ comes out of what is called the Davidic lineage. You see what I'm saying? Christ comes out of the Davidic lineage. Look it up. So you have David and Elijah right here. You have the ego, which is entailing some Sumerian things with Enlil and Enki and all of that, the ego and the snake, but is also showcasing Horus. So it's still Christological codes here. And the UFO is above, right around here. I can break all of that stuff down, but some people aren't going to be able to see the occult symbolism because their eyes aren't trained to see occultism. They aren't, you know, and that's not to demean them. That's why we have these sessions. That's what we're trying to do. We all trying to get better at understanding that. But David Grush wouldn't tell you that there's a positron. They're studying the positron to understand shadow planets. It all goes back to studying the cycle of the planet Venus, which is going to connect us to the heart chakra today. And this voodoo god that just returned to the planet. I know that made the Christians faint just now. Said a voodoo god. We don't went into some Satan stuff. But you got to go get the anime One Piece. I'm going to cover that in a minute. The anime One Piece is showing some high things, but the physics and describing these UAPs is talking about your Merkaba. And if you keep believing what these people tell you, which I believe there are ships in the sky. I've seen the ships. I've seen plenty of ships in my lifetime. I've seen at least 5 instances of UFO UAP activity. I've seen ships that fly with anti-gravitic technology at speeds. I say that's impossible. That's impossible. So, but I'm telling you that those ships have been reverse engineered by the government. They've made those ships. And it's probably not even nobody in it. It's just flying around. Knowing today is controlled by AI, but it can go at speeds and rates that the human body, when it contorts, can't even take that type of vibration and frequency. You see what I'm saying? But they ain't gonna tell you about all of that. But there are ships. We the ships. You see what I'm saying? There's magicians that understand the true. See, there's spiritual ships in the sky, and there's physical ships. You got to train your eye to see both. You got to know when you're looking at a spiritual ship, because the dimension has opened up, especially when this voodoo god came back to the planet. And what One Piece is showing is showcasing the heart chakra. And the heart chakra is showing that for you to see into this dimension, you have to have a Gnostic genetic to see the ships. Some people can't see the UFOs because they're not of a certain genetics. And that's the difference of it all. It looks like square in the circle. It certainly does look within. Yeah. So to understand deeply on quantum levels on what has happened, you have to see their numeral code. And what they've done, family, they've created an alien interdimensional cipher of encrypted information that only people with Gnostic genetics, which is a light frequency inside of the DNA that can read and discern what is happening. can understand the encrypted code and decipher it. Most of the code is in gematria. But you also will have to know how to work with color vibrations, because spirits communicate through colors in the mind. And on Patreon, we teach quantum chromomancy, understanding how the color physics encodes encryptions of messages. Encryptions of messages, and there's tetrahertz, a tetrahertz vibratory rate of each color, which has a sound produced from it. You can go on YouTube and find what each color sounds like in its connection to also the chakras. But we also can find research of why they use colors in music videos, different movies. They're playing with occult science, as we may know. So you're going to have these people come up and tell your ass that you're a conspiracy theorist, and you don't give this information to people who aren't worthy to receive it. Fuck them motherfuckers. I might get a strike for that. But I tell people over and over, you don't have to share this with anyone. You have a family on Patreon or in our community, and you yourself, you were the one privy to receive the information. The word conspiracy was socialized globally by the CIA after the Kennedy assassination. And you have these mouth breathers that will come to you and try to use the word conspiracy to deem someone that has critical thinking skills as a quack for not falling under the control mechanistic tactics of programming them through media, or they hadn't been socially engineered into the herd of sleepwalkers, i.e. the masses, and especially any melanated person. Using the word conspiracy, contradiction, shames the historical hardships of their ancestors. The whole country was founded on conspiracy. And even if you're not melanated fully or pheomelanated, you know somebody conspiring on your ass right now. The GMO food, everybody get it today. So yeah, all the races get it today. Some harder than others. But we all know we're under attack right now. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. But be careful with these words. You said you're going to send me a photo? Yeah, send me that photo. Send me that photo. The soul is all we need to be knowing. If anybody asking, what do we need to be doing? You need to be knowing what the soul is. If somebody can't explain to you what the soul is, they don't know what they are. As much as they say that they can define themselves as I am, they go into those woke terms. They don't know what the hell the goddamn soul is. They don't understand what it is. I'm trying to understand what it is. I'm not saying that I understand it, but I'm on the path to understanding it. Because none of us are better than one another. Shout out to Symbolic Studies. Mario, I see you up in there. I see you up in there, brother. Y'all follow Symbolic Studies, does excellent information on esotericism and symbolism. You guys can learn about the tarot, the pole star, a lot of information I love. The soul has to go through a process called nucleosynthesis. And what they've done, nucleosynthesis is what the stars are going through. But what they've done, they've changed the environment in the 3D by way of something called nanocrystallography. Nanocrystallography, and they're hijacking the organic process of nucleosynthesis of your souls. And what they're doing with the nanocrystal technology is preparing a transmutable familiarization process for an eventual transhuman genome sequence. Critical notes. So you hear this thing called smart dust. Look that up. Or nanotechnology. Even the father of nanotechnology, he has a quote saying, "This is some bad stuff." The father of nanotechnology said that. So check this picture out. Oh man, they don't have it coded. Can you guys see this picture here? Oh, let me see if this one works. I got another one. Okay, that's better right there. We'll talk about this smart dust real quick. My second video I ever did on YouTube was on smart dust. Of course, that channel got erased. The smart dust nanocrystals are the outlet. As Elena Freeland, there's another book I want you to get that I talked about on this channel, I think back in Umbra Kinesis. Geo-engineered transhumanism is a must-have in every household in America. Geo-transhumanism, how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetism, and nanotechnology for synthetic biology. This woman right here was trained by Michael Hoffman. That's one of her master teachers, who wrote the book Twilight Language. Another book you're going to have to get. And she's dropping some codes on an esoteric occult level that's very rarefied. And its science is on levels that only few can comprehend. But you have to understand this. In the book, it breaks down every aspect of the process of how they've done this over a century. This transhuman genome sequence. Nanotechnology is in the air, it's in the food, it's in the jabs, the water, etc. She even says that they've prepared the collective world soul of the planet as a sacrifice on their alien altar. Might have to replay that to understand what she's talking about. but I knew what time it was when she said it. That Gnostic genetics activated. I said, I know what you're talking about. You said, Mario says, was fortunate enough to spend some time with Elena Freeland a few years ago. That's wonderful. So, alien altar. What is going on? These people are studying portal physics. Who are these people? Let's listen. Let's look in. Who are the Jesuits? Let's look at a video real quick. I've been talking. Let's play a video. Let's do a series real quick.
Was old when I found out.
Key to Ignatius Loyola's order were something called the Spirit.
Oops, I'm sorry, guys. That's part 3. We'll go to part 1 real quick. Okay. He had the same picture. My bad, guys.
Today is old when I found out.
The founder of the Jesuits was a man called Don Inigo Lopez, who was born into an extremely wealthy family in the Basque region of Spain in 1491. He later changed his name to Ignatius Loyola. As a young man, Loyola was said by police records to be proud, violent, vindictive, and dangerous. His great life's ambition was to become a powerful military commander, which was going well until one particular battle where a cannonball broke one of his legs and heavily wounded the other. This event effectively ended his military ambitions. He was removed from the field of battle, underwent numerous painful surgical operations, and spent a long time in recovery. During this period, Loyola had a nervous breakdown as he struggled to come to terms with the end of his army career and the end of his life's ambition. In this fragile mental state, as he lay there with little else to occupy his mind, he began reading a number of fanciful religious texts about the works of the Catholic saints. Particularly inspired by the life of St. Francis of Assisi, he set out to emulate his deeds and those of others like him. He began to envision Jesus as a type of great military commander, and thought that although his physical army career was over, he could instead become a kind of general.
You see that skull in his hand right there, Saint Francis of Assisi. So he's adapting this concept, and they're kind of trying to say because he's going through a mental state from recovery, a massive injury, that he's absorbing these Christological ideals and he's going to morph it into a occult theology called Jesuitism. But the symbology is always present. Let me go back a little bit.
He began to envision Jesus as a type of great military commander, and thought that although his physical army career was over, he could instead become a kind of general in Jesus' army instead, the goal of which would be to capture the world. Now as a cripple, he made his way across Spain to the mountains of Montserrat, where there was a Benedictine monastery. Within this monastery was a sacred goddess idol called the Black Virgin of...
You know who that is. I don't got to say too much. You know who that is.
Montserrat, which he stood before in vigil for 3 days. There he committed himself and his work to her. By doing so, he committed himself to the demonic goddess Asherah.
And I'm going to tell you how Asherah has a masculine form called Ashtaroth. And all of these animes are bringing this Ashtaroth in it. And I've even read in Alan H. Greenfield books that when the QAnon heads talk about the Ashtar command, they're speaking about a magical egregore of a demon that resides over the entire continent of North America that the Jesuits are venerating through portal physics and sacrificing of souls to feed this thing. And their main general became a patron up under this demonic evil. And I'm gonna go later on into the movie The Pope's Exorcist and explain some of this stuff. Yeah, Asherah was Jehovah's wife, Yeah, bow, absolutely. But there's some things you got to understand. Some things you got to understand. There's feminine archetypes, there's masculine archetypes, and somehow, or not somehow, sometimes they mix in between two. They'll tell you it's Asherah, and that hides the actual occult practices of it being Ashtaroth. Because you'll be like, well, that's God's wife. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's go to part 2.
I was today years old when I found out.
By 1534, Ignatius Loyola had 6 key companions, all of whom he had met at university, and they formed the initial military brotherhood of the Society of Jesus. On the morning of 15th of August, 1534, they met in the crypt of the Church of Our Lady of the Martyrs at Montmartre and took solemn vows committing themselves to their lifelong work. As a man with an army background, Loyola created his order with the principles and disciplines that he had been used to as a soldier. The leader demanded the unquestioning obedience from his inferiors. Loyola was made the first superior general of the order, and they began the work of opposing the Reformation and re-establishing the dominance of the Catholic Church in Europe and around.
Now, those of you who don't know, the Catholic Church was the first world government. So the first world government ever was the Catholic Church. A lot of people don't know that. I'll let it play some more.
Around the world. They made their way to Rome where, in time, their society was accepted by the Pope, who at that time was Paul III. Paul III had seen the need of such a military order to repel the progress that the Protestant Reformation was making, as the Catholic Church seemed powerless by its own means. The Pope invested in them the authority to excommunicate all who would hinder or who do not aid the society, to confer orders, preach and administer the sacraments, to change their general, to absolve heretics as well as imprison the excommunicate, to exercise episcopal functions, to confirm, exercise, dispense, etc., to disguise themselves, to carry movable altars, give plenary indulgences, to live exempt, free from secular powers, taxes, as well as jurisdiction, authority, sentence, and command of any other ordinary delegate, judge, magistrate from any service.
Did y'all just hear that? What Paul III gave to this occult order? Basically, they're like agents of chaos on 3 times of crack of what the CIA is. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And whoever they're deeming an enemy to the Catholic Church, their job is to expel them in the name of Jesus. This is the type of demonic energy that we're dealing with. And it's behind this particular group, but of course it's connected through the Catholic Church, but it's connected to interdimensional beings that's ruling even higher than them.
Church. In other words, the Jesuits were given authority from the Catholic Church to operate above the law and to employ any means necessary to do their work. With this remit, in time, the Jesuits became the most prominent and powerful of Catholic weapons against the Reformation.
I was today years old when I
Okay, started off. Okay, this is the last one, guys.
I was today years old when I found out.
Key to Ignatius Loyola's order were something called the spiritual exercises. These were based on the experiences and secret teachings he had received whilst in the cave at Manresa. He basically made a template of what he had done in the cave to summon the serpent with the secret knowledge, and then passed it on to his followers. These spiritual exercises...
Hold on, I clicked it twice. He's talking about Kundalini. When they say the secret of the serpent, he's talking about Kundalini. And the Kundalini is a longitudinal array that allows phase conjugation on quantum levels for you to enter interdimensionally into higher vibratory fields of reality, which entities could be present. But you also can enter into lower fields of vibrational realities, which I'm going to speak about in a minute, an experience I had, it seems to me that he entered into those lower vibrational fields, and he's going to offer something to the people up under him in his army.
Formed the foundation of his entire movement. All Jesuits would have to go through them in order to bring themselves to the same kind of mind as Loyola had himself after 10 months in the cave. They involve systematic meditation, prayer, contemplation, visualization, and illumination, and would lead to a trance-like state of ecstasy. By following these rituals, he and his followers were even seen to levitate off the floor.
I bet y'all never heard this shit ever. When I came across this, I said, nobody's talking about this stuff. This sounds like something out of an Exorcist movie. And this is connected directly to a group of people called the Society of Jesus. You see what I'm saying? And all of your favorite people, Donald Trump went to a Jesuit university. All of these people are up under this group, even the Freemasons.
Spiritual exercises initiation would take 30 days, and initiates were brought through them by a supervisor or director. For the entirety of that period, they were told what to think, how to feel, when to groan, what to sigh, what to imagine, and they were to cut off all normal human emotion throughout those experiences. By the end,
cut off human emotion. That sounds like demonology. Does anybody else see that my chat got erased again? Put a thumbs up if you see that. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Is that YouTube? The erasing my chat? Trying to see if I can read. Okay, somebody said no chat. Wow. Wow. So try to tell you, family. Yeah, I can see the chat, but it erased the rest of the chat. So it must be YouTube. I mean, I see the chat, but the comments above was erased. You said they've been doing it on other channels too? Okay. All right. Let's learn more about these demons or these people. Same thing to me.
End of the 30 days, the initiate was to have his mind broken like that of a horse, so that he was now ready to be utterly obedient in all things. An observer of the Jesuits wrote,
Hold on. Don't that sound like that quantum hypnotism or that artificial somnambulism? It seems like the Jesuits, from me just interpreting through this video, it seems to me that they have to be given a handler that breaks them into the process of how the Jesuitism works. And then their mind has to be rendered inhuman, just like how they're using these different music artists, like your girl Doja Cat, or these other people that we're seeing pop up. They seem like they're inhuman now. I think they're giving the process up right here. It's a form of hypnotism. It's a form of hypnotism. You see what I'm saying? Or it's probably, I'm going to go a step further. I'm not going to say it right now, but in a minute, I'm going to propose something that I haven't proposed before, a step above hypnotism. But let me continue.
not only visions were prearranged, but also sights, inhalings, breathing was noted down, the pauses and intervals of silence were written down like a music sheet, which meant that the man, being inspired or not, became a machine who had to sigh, sob, groan, cry, shout, or catch his breath at the exact moment and in the order which experience showed to be the most profitable. Using this method, Loyola needed only 30 days to break someone's will and reasoning. The Jesuit initiates, once brainwashed or programmed by the spiritual exercises and further training, were to become as puppets to their superiors. Their constitution states that the Jesuit must give instant compliance to those above them in the hierarchy.
Don't that sound like these celebrities, politicians, and public figures? That's all I'm saying.
Completely sacrificing their own will in the process. They were to be directed under divine providence by their superiors, just as if they were a corpse, which allows itself to be moved and handled in any way. Their constitution justifies this absolute and unquestioning obedience by claiming the general of the Jesuits is in the place of Jesus Christ.
Now, I'm gonna break the mystery. I'm gonna have to do it. If me and Thomas on Paranoid America don't do it together, I might have to do a documentary on how the cross in the Christian church has probably become one of the most demonic symbols of all time. Because all of these artists are getting crosses tattooed on them. They're wearing crosses as chains. I'm seeing an uptick of people with cross tattoos, or they're wearing crosses on their body or something like that. And when I'm hearing this thing from the Jesuits and knowing that the Jesuits are literally the assassins of the Catholic Church, and they probably are in control of the whole entire Hollywood and taught different occult sects in Hollywood how to break these people entering Hollywood and make them puppets. I'm almost 100% assuming that Jesus Christ has become an egregore through the Jesuits of demonic possession. I'm saying in the sense of how they're using it, because I know some Christians, they'll get real mad. But I'm just saying, everything that you heard so far, it ain't me, is breaking down what these people did. Let me read the chat. Put a thumbs up if that makes sense. Said Ozzy Osbourne started it in the 60s. Yeah, if I'm tripping, let me know. All right, let me continue.
Like the Pope, the general has invested in himself spiritual authority for worldly power and control. In more than 500 places in the Jesuit constitution, it is taught that the Jesuits should see Jesus in their general. The blasphemy continues in the constitution, saying, "No constitution, declaration, or any order of living can involve an obligation to commit sin, mortal or venial, unless the superior command it in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, or by virtue of holy obedience, which shall be done in those cases or persons wherein it shall be judged to conduce to the particular good of each, or to the general advantage."
They just said that you can sin if the general tells you that it's for Jesus.
And instead of the fear of offense, let the love and desire of all perfection succeed, that greater glory of Christ, our Creator and Lord, may follow. That nonsense just means that the Jesuit superiors can command an inferior to commit a sin in the name of Jesus Christ, if they feel the end justifies the means, or if it leads to the greater glory of God in their eyes.
I don't need to play no more else. That's good. That's good right there. All right. So this is what's going on. This is what's really going on. And nobody has broken it down to that degree. Shout out to that person who actually did that video. I don't know who that was, but shout out to that person. I'm gonna have to find that video again and give them some promo. Yeah, I heard of the Noahide laws, but this is something else. You see what I'm saying? So it goes right along with the rituals. Okay, let's get back deep into it. Now that you got an explanation. So collectively, these people control everything. And what's going on? We were talking about the process of nucleosynthesis, of how your soul propagates itself. But I was introducing demon portals and how they're using this technology. This is a quote unquote sculpture in Detroit. This is a sculpture in Detroit. Those of you who live in Detroit, shout out to y'all, but y'all have seen this before. But this, to me, is something like an alien altar or a portal to open up demon gates to the Jewish term called Gehenna, which is a caliphotic anti-world, in the Qliphoth being the opposite of the Kabbalah, where the demonic spheres exist. We're talking Lilith and the people. Thaumiel at the top, Satan and Moloch. One glances into the future, one glances to the past. But there is some metaphysics to this, because this is literally the dimension of the subconscious when you begin to understand occultism. But I think that there are anti-realities of destruction, because when antimatter touches matter, it's annihilation. And these dimensions are something that these Jesuits, scientists, because if you go back and watch They Clone Tyrone, I'm gonna talk about in a minute. There's a scene in the movie where they show you that the Jesuits had the cloning facilities. They show the Jesuits IHS symbol when they opened up the cloning facility in the church. And I said, bingo, that thing was deep. You said the biggest Masonic temple in the world is in Detroit. Interesting. Hold on. They said the portal. Okay, Mayat's son says the portal. Hold on, let me put the portal back up here. This thing right here is at the Detroit River in Hart Plaza. Remember I told you to get that book by Peter Champeau called Gaia Matrix? He speaks about when you're looking at ley lines and you're trying to get a specific energy, you always build different projects near, or different city projects near a basin of water or rivers, because he says it's like the veins to the life force in the planet. So that makes sense, Mayat son. Mimi, that's me, says they got one downtown Montreal in Canada. Let me try to look that up real quick to see if it pops up. It's not popping up, Mimi, so you might have to send me a picture of that, because I need to start studying where these things at. You have the name, you can put it in the chat. Okay, y'all lit up in the chat. Oh, it's called Ville Marie. Okay, Ville Marie. Shout out to y'all responding in the chat. I know y'all at work and everything. Yeah, they trying to hide that, Mimi. So they send me a picture. Is this it? I don't know. That might be something else, but just send me a picture of it. and we'll talk about it. Yeah, the St. Louis Arch, good point. The St. Louis Arch could be one of these. Matter of fact, let me pull that up. Y'all doing excellent in the chat. Because they call it a gateway, right? The gateway arch. Absolutely. I think this gotta be, this is some type of Jesuit thing. And look, I touched this thing when I was in St. Louis back in 2017 without knowing and understanding this. I went out there and touched it, took a picture and stood beside it. You see what I'm saying? So these demon portals, caliphotic anti-worlds to summon the anti-gods. And what they're doing, they're understanding now the physics of sacrifice. And I know a lot of people come to the channel. I've heard some people say, hey, he talks about too much sacrifice and dark stuff. Well, for you to understand what's actually happening, you got to get into the darkness as well as the light. I'm going to give you some light information, but the light don't come without the goddamn darkness. You can't get light without darkness. That's physics. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at how it works. The physics of sacrifice is what these people mastered. And that video that we just watched broke everything down on how they do it. So everybody that's killed by the Jesuits has to be under a control number. Remember, I showed you the control numbers. You got to go to my Patreon. Shout out to Tommy Truthful up in the chat. I see you, brother. I told you I got to come up on there. We're gonna pump some videos out. We just was talking about doing a video soon. But they got these control numbers. And you have to be killed with a connection to these control numbers by way of Ignatius of Loyola's birth date and death date, and the birth date and death dates of popes throughout history. Everybody has to be killed in the Hollywood industry connected to it. This is the science. I'm giving you the physics of how they stay in power and how they keep us in mind control. And you can get all of that science Patreon. So the physics of sacrifice, they've mastered a Kabbalistic rhythm to kill people. There is a biomorphic symmetry in the conscious field of spiritual frequency. It's a guy, this dude is real badass. He was breaking down the Jesuits. I forgot his page name, but he was giving pictures and how the sacrifice pours into different demonic dimensions. But he didn't have the quantum physics. I'm gonna try to give you the quantum physics today of how it works. So, as I said, a biomorphic symmetry to when they kill people on certain ley lines by certain numbers, by the dates, the birth dates and the death date through Ignatius of Loyola, different popes in history, different celebrities, all connected in a big conundrum. There is the symmetry is in a conscious field of spiritual frequency, and is inside of baryons of matter in the soul's continuity within the plenum of rays that is sifting in and out the primal sound fields of light and sound inside of the Godhead, which is the source field. Just play it back if that don't make sense. The cryptocracy which is a secret society within a secret society, which is what the Jesuits are entailing. They are sacrificing people, putting people, so Jesus was sacrificed on the cross. So this picture is just representing the killing of the person, but how the energy feeds the demonic portal. So they're killing people based on onomatological connections. Onomatology is the study of etymology of the root of people's names and the esoteric meanings of the connections to their names and the astrological influence, which is the muse. The muse is the creativity level of a person. So they don't just kill anybody. You have to have a certain creativity level of production. Yeah, I know. I told y'all I was going to give it to y'all today. You have to have a certain creativity level. You said many angelic portals have been dismantled in this realm. Interesting. Yeah, that Enochian magic video. Yeah, y'all go back and watch that. Appreciate that, brother. I hope this makes sense to y'all, but there's a creativity level that people have to be killed, and that's just one layer. That's one layer of it. The big slice of the pie is that they have to kill people violently. And when they kill these people violently, it projects the soul out of the body and disrupts the emittance of rays that's flowing like water in the jet stream currents around the firmament that goes around the pole star. I know Mario Symbolic Studies knows about that pole star science and the Setians. And it's all that jet stream current is a escape region for souls. And that disruption recreates the Big Bang Theory. Let me read that again. They have to kill a person violently to project the soul out the body and disrupt the emittance of rays that flows like water in the jet stream current of the firmament around our pole star, which is a escape region for souls. And that disruption of the emittance of rays is recreating the Big Bang Theory in a simulation, a mini Big Bang Theory, which causes a ripple effect in the soul's plenum of rays from the astral body, which opens up a temporary access of a subatomic spiritual currency that can ignite pineal activity, open quantum mechanical black holes, which appeases a egregore, which is a ancestral energy informational structure, which generates cold fusion, which is something physicists still don't understand. And this way of killing these people is beyond extraterrestrial, and it has something to do with the invisible colleges of knowledge of the spirit realm, which is the quantum realm in their eyes. So we got real sciencey, but I'm gonna go deeper. We're gonna go deeper. As I stated earlier, we showed you the demon gates, the demon portals. let me tell you a story. I went to a rim last weekend, and this is the work you have to do sometimes to understand this. I went to a rim, a outer body experience. I had my 1-year-old son sleeping next to me. It was in those witching hours. And I went to a place that I knew was outside dream comprehension. But you see, if you possess the Gnostic genetics, you have esoteric logic built inside of your subtle body that can be deduced. And there you can find clear light experiences. So I'm giving you a clear light experiences, but sometimes you have to go through a dark experience to receive the clear light experience. There are feminine dimensions and masculine dimensions, androgynous dimensions as well, but they are very rare to enter. Each based upon hermetic principles, visiting these places inwardly, which is psychological. And the esoteric logic that's built inside of us is a fundamental organization of inner consciousness, wherein those who possess the light code in their DNA are allowed the absolute experience to manifest its own completeness within the interior state of ontological totality. Esoteric logic is the act whereby the inner being thinks for itself, and it experiences, creates, projects, and emanates itself as the inner awareness of selfhood under the form of primordial and archetypal. This is a Sanskrit word called ojas. And ojas, a simple definition, is a occult term in Sanskrit that means energy lattices, the cognizant patterns in a person's lifestyle. So the cognizant patterns in your lifestyle. You smoke, drink all day, you produce a oja of that type of energy lattice. And likewise in reverse. So somewhere deep within the continuum of consciousness, there exists various sources of power. These sources are collectively known as truth. So the only power in the deep conscious states is truth. And you see, that's why it's had to be Truth Mafia. Shout out to Tommy if he's still in here. It's truth. That's the only power within the deep continuum. You see, we know when we have came face to face with what is solidified in reality. Denying it only grows the shadows inside of us. We talked about that umbrakinesis. These sources, these truths, are entities that are literally awake. They communicate and they seek to bring us as units ever closer to their level of existence and experience. So when I went to this dark place, I believe I went into this prognostication of what the Jesuits have been doing. And what I saw was forms of what could be deemed demonic possession. Let me explain this to you. If you get scared, go to church. So let me explain this. What I saw is forms of what could be deemed demonic possession, or a gate of demonic energy over the households of I don't know how many people in the region I live in, but I'm looking at it from above because I'm projected outside of my body. But the presence, whether it was entities or not, when I came in contact with this presence, I experienced a vibratory frequency that showed the process of how people are being programmed with mind control. And it's real, real dark. It's like I touched its soul, if it has one. And I got all of the memories in like one instant download of the ritual ordinances of years of Satanism that they went through to access the correct procedure to set up a worldwide altar to sacrifice people through these portals. Some deep ass shit today, right? There's some real stuff I experienced, man. Let me tell you, man. I don't even think I can go into how much I learned in that brief instant with you guys, especially on YouTube. But I woke up and saw my son next to me, and I ain't gonna lie, I was horrified. I clung to him. I mean, I didn't cry or anything, but I definitely didn't want to wake him up. But I know some people who saw what I saw would have instantly begun streaming. So I've been in enough hyperdimensional realms of experiences and interacted with quote unquote non-physical beings. I don't even call it that. It's more like holograms within holograms. And I'm not saying that these things are even demons. Truly, I think if it was, this was probably the first time I actually saw into a demonic realm, literally. Because you have to be conducive to this. But I've been trained as a metaphysician. See, that's what makes a lot of people, when we break this stuff down, people can break it down as a decoder, or they can break it down as a metaphysician. As a metaphysician, I'm trained not to let this thing or experience affect my spirit and mental state of being. And I don't tell you all these things to scare you or make the uninitiated Christian group begin praying on my broadcast. This thing has to be documented. You see, it's almost like science. In science, sometimes they have to put on gloves and stick their hand in shit. They have to go into the grotesque to understand what's happening. You see? I know you got that from me. So this thing has to be documented in case they've developed some technology. Maybe they have developed some technology to induce nightmares. Or could it all have been just my subconscious giving a holographic strip of what a demonic realm may feel like? I doubt that, because I keep an organic, holistic lifestyle. I mean, of course, I own a holistic herbal store. In my circle there, I'm only limited to good people. And of course, we all face demons, but I tell you, this was something else. And anyways, it shook me up so much that I started researching. And what I came across, so I really believe I went to the Gehenna realm, is basically what I'm telling you. I started researching, and what I came across was astonishing. I'm researching around 3 a.m. at night, guys. So this is what I'm proposing. Could the Jesuits be enslaving demonic entities, or better yet, are they enslaved, which we showed in the video, either by way of possession of a demonic force? Then I started to find evidence that they've had interest in using demons to influence the minds of generations. So here it says, the Jesuits did share a belief that demons would be flexible in their attempts to influence human minds, resembling, so they did use the demons. It's another breakdown of it. I don't even think this is the right article, but it was an article where the Jesuits said that they believe that Satan was a reality and not an entity. Satan itself is a reality. All right. The movie I said that you had to get, which I've told you before, is called The Pope's Exorcist. This is a must-see movie. I tell people on Patreon, when I give you certain movies, this is homework for you to watch, not for you to get scared, because if you can't take it, don't watch the movie. That means you have something in your spirit that you need to get right. If you can't watch this and study this and look at what needs to be analyzed. In the movie, you have Father Gabriel Amorth, which was a real exorcist for the Catholic Church, the greatest exorcist of all time, quote unquote, of the Catholic Church. He was going around and basically the demons could not do anything to him. He knew all the science of it until he came across a demon named Asmodeus. And what he discovered was that Asmodeus, which is called the King of Hell, Asmodeus had infiltrated the Catholic Church and had been possessing the popes in history going back hundreds of years. And not only that, that Asmodeus told him that he had the ability to possess several people at once. And that goes back to the egregore I told you that's over America. Could the entire America be in a schizoid relationship to being possessed by Asmodeus? It's only on levels some people can understand what's happening. It's only on certain levels. So you got to watch this movie, because basically what they said in the movie is that the Christian church, the structures of Christian churches are built over certain ley lines, going back to Gaia Matrix I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Anything I tell you is for a reason that builds up on the video. The Jesuit science, they were studying the ley lines, and the first time we get ley lines is out of through the Catholic Church by way of the British Empire. Their science was to build structures. We can call them churches, worship places, and these places are circuit boards that the entities can enter through, and they have to build it in a certain way symbolically so that the entity's body can feel itself in the open spaces. So these things are built. I don't even got all my graphics in here, guys, so I apologize for that. But these things are built specifically to house the entities. If you go on my Instagram, it has more to it on what I just talked about. I got a post on that. You said cathedrals, ley line energy centers, some cymatics. There you go. Now, this is some shit I'm going to tell you right now. Not only that, you saw my reptilian myth video, a classic video on this YouTube channel. This is another classic today. And I don't say that, you know, in being cocky. I just want you to have information that can stand the test of time. That's why it takes me time sometimes to prepare it for you. Well, yesterday my pictures wouldn't load. I would have been on yesterday, but it is what it is. But anyways, if you type in Jesuit conspiracy theories, going back to this conspiracy thing, there is a guy named Bob Blacksovitz. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's like Blackowitz. And he said, what I do is type in Jesuit conspiracy. Here you can find it here. But you got to go down here to, the Germans, but here his name is Blaskowitz. He claims that Phelps told him that the alleged gray aliens are not aliens, but creations of Jesuit science. So could this whole alien invasion that's happening, what if the Jesuits have learned, and the reason you have to follow on Truth Mafia 101, homunculus science? What if they've created aliens? This is another proposal that I heard from Juan's channel that I always thought about because it further proves my theory on the reptilian myth that if these things do exist, what if it has been created by your own government? And what if they found a science of how to make certain humanoids that don't resemble human genetics? Could be. Or maybe they found a way to put demons in a vessel. Maybe they're communicating through CERN, through gematria, the numerological science, the astrological science. When the stars are right, the great old ones will reveal themselves. These are questions that we have to start to ask, because if it does happen, some alien invasion, it could be all the works of the Jesuits, and they could have just created these things. I don't believe they exist either way. That's just me. But I'm telling you right now, we have to start thinking. Even the whole UFO, UAP thing, this is a Jesuit here, but there's a lot of symbolism in this picture. I think it's all connected. So that's my theory on that. Okay, so Jesuit science also is breaking down how the church was searching for the ultimate ritual for divine possession, which is this video. So there's a science of divine possession versus demonic possession in angelology, studying the angels, because a lot of times the Christians, they get into the whole angelical hierarchy. But if you were to envision what an angel would look like based upon biblical verses, it would look sort of like this, some type of demonic being. It wouldn't look like something you would want to spend your time in heaven with, or something that you will want watching over you. So we're studying angelology, the cherubims, the seraphims, the powers, the thrones, all of these things, and see what is the difference in what the Jesuits were studying. And what they said was, in a manuscript on divine possession from the Catholic Church is that divine possession, also called divine inspiration or divine enthusiasm, as Ignatius of Loyola puts, it occurs when one raises their soul so high that they are overwhelmed by the divine essence that they are participating in, and the higher power naturally overcomes the practitioner. It is something that is typically associated with oracles. So long before these men had the science, there were women who were practicing the science of divine possession. And these women say that this divine possession is the truest form of divination. And it's saying that everything else is involving some element of human interpretation and is therefore unreliable. However, with divine possession, one literally becomes a mouth of God. So they're trying to get possessed by a divine presence of these beings. Or maybe they're making, I'm just proposing this, maybe they're making some type of relationship with lower beings, vice versa. I'm not a Jesuit, so I would more think that they're doing something with lower vibrational beings. You said, how do I feel about Mass? The women were the leaders of the Catholic Church at one point. I saw a movie on Mass. It was something, what was it called? Black Mass. It was something about a town that was going to Mass. And it was some type of angel that was killing everybody and drinking their blood. What was the name? Do y'all remember that movie? Let me type it in. Hold on. Mass. Midnight Mass. It was like it was an angel. Here it goes right here. It was an angel in the church. And sometimes the spirit will come and tell me these things. And I appreciate that that comment, Soul Talk. It's ironic your name is Soul Talk as well. But this is what I'm talking about here. What if these angelic beings are actually demonic that the church is praying to? You got to go see this movie called Midnight Mass. I think it's a TV series called Midnight. Yeah, it's a TV series. Got episodes where this angelic being was masquerading, I don't know, as a priest or something, or maybe it flew in, and the clergyman over the town was offering sacrifices to it, and it was drinking the blood of everyone in the town and turning them, doing all types of stuff. Had some melanin connections too. It was a melanated girl whose blood was precious or something like that. I can't. It was a whole lot of stuff going on in the TV series. He said, was it Azrael? I don't know who this. I don't know what this thing was, but I know this. It was crazy. It was a very, very crazy movie. When the angel demon revealed itself, people started running out the church. They was like, "Oh hell no!" He said, "Fuck that shit." They said, "Is it an angel or is it a monster?" So this is what we're talking about. So they believe that there's a divine possession where a person can become the mouth of God, and with the practice of divine possession, one can join with the gods to feel a stronger kinship with them, then prophesies on their behalf to achieve something called henosis. Henosis is a Greek word for mystical oneness or unity in union with the unification of what is called fundamental in reality, the one, the source, or the monad. But what if this thing is more demonic than divine? So they're calling it divine possession, and they're saying it's dealing with a angelic presence overtaking the body, and then them becoming a mouthpiece for that angel. Very crazy stuff. Okay. The real science that the Jesuits isn't telling you about the Christological understanding of what's happening. First of all, when I said earlier that this whole thing could be more demonic than what we know with the crosses, this is a video. This is a video here, guys, showing somebody called Nicola 3. I don't know if it's his video, but the two crosses that these rappers and celebrities are getting over and over, there's some symbolism that he picked up on, and I want to show you this real quick, and then we'll get deeper into some other stuff.
See?
You guys see that? So all you got to do is flip both crosses upside down. You get the Masonic compass. I said, wow. You know? They said, you saw that? So we don't really know what we're looking at. Yep, the square and the compass. Yep. We don't really know what we're understanding and looking at. But what I've learned is that the science goes quantum, and that the Christ is a quantum phenomenon. We're going to get a little bit sciencey for a second. The real science of Christology is that the Christ is a quantum state in reoccurrence. So the Father is a neutron. The Word is a proton, and the Holy Ghost is an electron. So this is comparative to subatomical particles in order: neutron, proton, electron, Father, Word, Holy Ghost. And every atom, with the exception of ordinary hydrogen, is made of these components. And the first item in our list is the Holy Ghost electron connection that you see here. And you can see the outline of the cross, the sitter man, and all of that stuff is more a part of science than what the church is trying to describe. The Son of Man is actually a proton, and we can cover that another. We're going to cover the deep science on Patreon. But the Son of Man is a proton that comes from the clouds. The clouds that they're speaking of is the electron, which is the Holy Ghost. And it says he comes with great power. The great power is electricity. And they say he comes with glory. The glory is what I said earlier, is the color spectrum. What is color? Color is light split into different wavelengths, vibrating at different speeds and frequencies. And as I said, each color has its own vibration. In color physics, let me explain from a simple sense that we may have to break this video into two because we get heavy today, guys. When it comes with color, I don't see where I put that at. The basis of colors is red, which represents stimulation. Let me explain these color physics. Shout out to Donut, because I told him I was going to do something on color physics as well. So red represents stimulation. So you see red in music videos, they're stimulating the mind. Orange represents harmonizing the energy. Yellow represents the cleansing of the energy. Green represents the balancing of the energy or effervescence. Blue is the sedation. Indigo is the eternalization, and violet is the transcendence of the energy. So these are higher conscious threads of a cosmic language into how the monad communicates to the spirit's astral lattices, and the colors are how spirits communicate to the soul. And we've even covered on Patreon that colors are in actuality fallen light of the monad of Lucifer's fall. And they are simply schematics organized to help us elucidate our spirit and soul's consciousness into what's called the Christos frequency, becoming Christ tetrapolarly, to unlock abilities that ancient manuscripts describe as the Heru or the hero. But you have to crawl before you walk. And what that means is it's essential that you have practicality, practice with the colors in your mind so it can develop and envelop. Then we can associate the colors with what we call in our system Tayukas, which is angelic. Tayukas is another word for spiritual communication in the system, but with the Tayuka science, you can study angelic numerology. So remember earlier I said that the control numbers they use, there's demon numbers and angel numbers. And each number has a vibratory rate to a color. It's called tetrahertz. And there's a sound produced through it as well. So who is my mod up here? My mods, if people aren't talking about, if they're just saying some stuff, I want you to let them know that when we doing this, we're not playing around right now. So I don't see none of my mods up in there, so I can't do that and do this at the same time. So angelic numerology plays a role in the science of imagining colors to the frequencies that you feel at a specific time of the time when you see the rep digit synchronicity. So the numerical gematria systems of number magic can be processed through something called astragalomancy, which is dice magic. Now you have to get the die that has, 21 sides? I don't know if it's 21 sides. No, it's not that. What is the name of the dice? It's not polyhedral either. I think it's a D20 dice. D20 dice. Hold on, guys. Let me pull up my astragalomancy note so I can give you the exact name of this thing. Okay, so we're talking about astragalomancy. Is definitely D20 dice. I don't have the exact geometric name of the shape of the dice, so I didn't put that in my notes. But dice rolling, the system of dice rolling, you can just call it a D20 dice, guys. So you need a dice like this. And the people that was playing Dungeons and Dragons, they didn't know it's not a science. They didn't know what the hell they was doing. It was just role playing Dungeons and Dragons. But this dice is, when you roll it, it's a chaotic system. It's chaos physics. It's a system where small change comes in initial conditions that will lead to greatly different outcomes in the evolution of the system in a very different final state after a certain time has passed. So the angelic numbers that you see, you need to take notes here. Somebody said it's deep. They got to get back to work. I feel it, man. I feel it. The angelic numbers with the astragalomancy, you're doing something called a butterfly effect in the Lorentz effect. So the butterfly flapping its wings, rather than not, a small change happens in the initial conditions, which leads to a formation of a tornado in the future, a large difference of outcomes after a certain time. So that's a base explanation to what the angel numbers are. It's forming a small tornado into the future for you to change outcomes to a certain time. And it's, when you see an angel number, it's revealing to you a opportunity for you to change the future. And rolling dice can help you, when you see the angel number, determine the numerical frequency. So you roll a 20, if you roll a 10, 18, you do a theosophical reduction. I can't teach this here right now. You got to come to Patreon. I'm going to do another angel number gematria class. I did a 103 advanced class, and I broke down the movie Man Who Fell to Earth at the end of that. But I said I was going to come back and do another angel numbers class. But I explained what theosophical reduction is. And I'm not saying that to make you come on Patreon just because I want you to. I'm saying that because I'm giving you a lot right now. And this is not an angel number video, but the theosophical reduction will tell you the vibratory rate of the tetrahertz to a color that you need to communicate with to open that tornado in spin orientation to a destiny point that you can change. Just rewind the video, because I think that was complicated for me too. I'm gonna have to rewind the video because all of this is channeling. So and I'm gonna have a period for questions. If people have questions, I'm gonna put the link down there and you guys can come up on the platform. But I want you to write your questions down right now. Write your questions down, or just keep it in your mind, and we'll bring people up and you can ask your questions live with me. But we haven't even finished the lecture. We haven't even really gotten into it. He said I recommended not to do it on Monday or Wednesday. There probably was a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Okay, so it's all Newtonian physics. It's Newtonian physics you're dealing with the angel numbers, but we'll have a class. We'll break all of that down. All right, so where was I? I went off on a tangent. So the control numbers, you have to develop your own control numbers. And the science is very powerful when you can convince the subconscious that these numbers are enacting certain trends to project the reality that you want to unfold. All right, I think that's a whole lot for right now. So let me go into some hyperlucidity so people's brains don't overload. We talking too deep. So the Tory Lanez case. And those of you who don't know hyperlucidity, that's just when we talk about stuff in the media and give you the significance of how it's all scripted. It's all rituals. The whole Tory Lanez, shout out to See Through the Stripped and Scripted World. I think they're in the Truth Mafia Instagram chat. They produce these graphics and they do a hell of a job. I'll be trying to make my little gematria graphics and they be putting it out as soon as the news hit. They come out with these graphics. I'm like, damn, they did a hell of a job. I'd rather use their graphics. I said, my little poor old graphic don't look like shit to theirs. But it's all a ritual. It's all a ritual. I don't even know if this guy is locked up. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know no more. Because these people do these symbols, like here, these one-eye symbolism means if they're not in the club, the Jesuits are definitely in the room or near their associates or their handlers. This guy name is Daystar. What type of name is Daystar? I've never heard of a person in my life named Daystar, but I know that the Daystar is Lucifer, is Venus in the sky. It's a star you can see if you're on a certain ley line. You can see this star. In earlier times, they were able to see it clear as day. Just like how you can see the moon sometimes in the sky, you will be able to see this star or this planet, so to speak, but it's cymatics. But his name is Daystar. Like I said, okay, well, this has to be a ritual. And the thing about it, Tory Lanez's last name is Peterson. Megan the Stallion last name is Peters, or no, it's Pete or Peters or something like that. I think it's Pete, Megan Pete. And Pete and Peterson has a etymological root to stone, because the word Pete comes from Petra. Petra means rock or stone. Jesus is called the Rock of Ages, the Rock of Gibraltar, the stone, the philosopher's stone. That's what the word Peter in the Bible, that's what is all denoting with Peter and everything. But both of their names have Pete in it. And you may say, Ani, why are you bringing up their last names? Well, the interesting thing is that both of them met for the first time at a place called the Rock Nation Brunch. This is the first time they met, they said, in the court case, and they could be lying. It was at the Rock Nation brunch. Rock Nation owned by Jay-Z. He even said in the song that he was the Rock of Gibraltar. He said, "How can I falter when I'm the Rock of Gibraltar?" See what I'm saying? Rock Nation, Rockefeller. And even his father accused Jay-Z of setting Tory up because some of Megan has a deal with Rock Nation, I believe. You see what I'm saying? Megan Thee Stallion is not a guy. Yeah, but yeah, Rock Nation. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, out of all of the conspiracies, Megan Thee Stallion is not a guy. She definitely is a Illuminati puppet. But a lot of times in the truth community, as soon as you see a melanated woman, she got to be a man automatically. Or I know people that every woman in celebrityhood is a man to them. I know people like that. Every woman that's a man. That's a man. That's a man. I said, okay, now when I told you about that transhuman genome sequence, I think people are beginning to develop some type of schizoid mental condition where they don't even know gender anymore. Everybody about to become opposite of what they is. Yeah, Stallion is a male horse. Yeah. Sometimes people sometimes these rappers have to take on names that the Jesuit order gives them to make people think a narrative that's humiliating to them. That's how deep you got to think with the science. I'm trying to train you how to see it on other levels than what. Don't listen to what motherfuckers say outside. What people say, you know, in the quote unquote woke community. You got to be able to critically think for yourself. You can take what they're saying and ponder it, but just don't take it completely. Leave some stuff out. But Daystar Shemuel Shua Peterson, it goes back to the Hebrew Israelite thing, equals 107. Judge David Hereford, 107. Tory Lanez, 107. 10 years, 107. This is definitely a stripped. He was sentenced on the Lionsgate portal, 8/8. That leaves 145 days in a year. Daystar Shemuel Shua Peterson equals 145. That is not a coincidence, family. It's either these people don't know that they are a homunculus or a puppet, or these people have developed a numerical sequence of a science, a satanic science, where they can predict or use the numbers to predict the destiny point of where people are going to end up dead or in certain negative circumstances through the numerical code, Kabbalistically, if you can fathom that. Okay, Daystar Peterson equals 88, rapper equals 88, judge equals 88. Tory was sentenced to 10 years by the judge on 8/8, the Lionsgate portal. So the incident happens 1,122 days after he was sentenced. 11 and 22 in a theosophical reduction is 33. 10 years in gematria equals 33. 10-year prison sentence equals 303 in reverse ordinal gematria. 11, 22, and 33 are all considered master numbers. So this is a master Masonic ritual that you are witnessing here with this person. So Tory Lanez threatened to expose Interscope Records back in 2020. He said, Interscope Records, if y'all don't stop playing with me, I'm going to expose really what's going on in that effing building. And it was shortly after this when Tory Lanez found himself in this mess. Now, there's a video by Noriega explaining how these celebrities get involved with the secret societies. I'm going to play this video for you guys, and you'll understand it a little bit better.
It's a level of success where it's a door. It's a door. When you platinum and you're getting 50,000 a show, I've been there. There's a door that you can walk in. I'm not sure if it's homo or if it's Illuminati. I just didn't take that door. I went straight.
What do you mean?
This is when you get to a level of success, when you're getting 30, 40, 50,000 a show, you platinum, you're running across the world. There's 3 different doors, right? There's 3 different ways to walk. There's to the left, there's to the right, and then there's straight. Straight is you're on your own. Let's see if you continue this success, young man.
Okay.
Let's see if it was all about your skills, young man. Let's really see that. Okay. You went straight. To the right, I'm not sure if that's the homo shit right there. And then it's to the left, I'm not sure if there's some sacrifice shit going on right there. I'm not sure because I went straight. But I was offered these doors.
So that's a gist of it. It could be very, very, very more complicated than what he's saying, because some of these people don't even have choices. I really don't think Noriega went straight. Noriega is definitely a pawn of the Jesuits. His whole show, Drink Champs, the Drink Champs logo has the Baphomet in it that I showed. And I have to show you the logo next to the Baphomet. So this is the Drink Champs logo. Has that X I'm gonna talk about in a minute. And you put the Baphomet right next to it. And then you kind of see it. As above, so below. And the stars is very occult as well. So I broke that down before. But it could be a form of MK Ultra, like we showed you with the Jesuits, how they break the minds of these people. There's even a patent where they can send thought transmission units to send modulated electromagnetic wave beams to human receivers to influence thoughts and actions without an electronic receiver. So this is a form of frequency hypnosis that they can use. And these sounds can influence matter and cells and molecular structures in the human body. So the cymatics demonstrates vividly the study of visible sound and vibration in a subset of model phenomenon. The word cymatic deriving from Greek kuma and billow or wave, describing the periodic effects that sound and vibration have on matter. So is it sick, like being sick, channeling, sequencing feelings of depression, oppression, and possession, spell casting physics? It's what's happening in the music industry, all up under these secret societies. Noriega ain't gonna get into that. So one thing we keep an eye on. Did y'all see the Montgomery Brawl? The Montgomery Brawl was something to see. Could this event be scripted? We pondered it on Patreon, and I'm not going to go back through my theory. Just check out the Patreon video. But it's interesting that these melanated people came to the aid of an elder black man being jumped by possibly alt-right members after a Trump rally in Montgomery. So you had a Trump rally, and I'm gonna go through some of the memes. So one day before, you had a Trump rally right in Montgomery at the riverfront. Had a big Trump rally by Jesuit-educated Donald J. Trump. And this one guy was pulling this white family's boat moor. He was working security. He said, you have to move your boat or I have to remove it because the bigger ship is about to come in. And the ship was called Harriet. Ship was called Harriet. And it had some occult symbology, Jacqueline and Boaz, the sun right here. It's all types of occult themes. So I was like, this is some crazy stuff. You know, so I'm like, could this be a form of mind control? Did they incite this for a racial war? I'm not sure. But there was a lot of casualties. I have never seen somebody get beat out of Crocs. There was a lot of casualties. I'm going to play the video of the guy. I'm sorry. Every time I see this video, I start dying laughing because this guy's voice is hilarious. I'm going to play this for you guys.
Well, turns out that 65-year-old man could really fucking throw him.
How he say throw one? It was just so hilarious. So hilarious. So some guy with a folding chair started hitting people. And the chair has gone viral. People are literally getting chains over this folding chair. Yeah, they get chains. They even pulled up the guy. I didn't even know that a black man invented the folding chair, Nathaniel Alexander. I never even know. I never knew that. So yeah, it's inciting some race stuff. It is some type of ritual for sure. They even show the history of folding chairs in the history of Egyptians. It's hella memes circulating the internet right now. And they said they believe some hoodoo was involved with it as well. Let me play this one sister talking about the hoodoo ceremony they did.
That is the same riverfront that the Trump rally took place just 24 hours before. And that's the same riverfront that 2 hours before, myself and about 30 other women closed out a beautiful ceremony with honoring the ancestors with flowers in the water. I just want you all to understand the context here.
So yeah, I think there was a hoodoo ceremony, and then hoodoo is basically, it's different from voodoo. It's like you're merging your soul and your spirit with neurotransmitters and plants and herbs. So it's more like a herbal type thing. Voodoo is more like you have to become subservient, like a religion up under a deity. So people get hoodoo mixed up. Hoodoo is more of a herbal type of knowledge and practice, and understanding the science that water possesses memory of spirits. So they utilize water and plants in hoodooism, and they can literally merge themselves into water and plants so other people down the line in time can access the knowledge that they have. That's hoodooism. There's a woman named Marie Laveau that we spoke about on Patreon. We did an extensive history on her and how some people from all over the world come to her graveyard and they dig up dirt from her graveyard because they believe that inside of the enzymes of the dirt, her spirit is in it. And they believe that they could get some type of power from these people who practice hoodoo. So I think it was a hoodoo ritual before. So it's some metaphysics, some type of mind control going on. I did the gematria numbers. Let me show it to you. Riverfront brawl, I always mess that word up, equals 201. Y'all know that's the Jesuits number. And Montgomery Riverboat brawl equals 86. The brawl happened on 8/6. So it's not a coincidence that it equals 86. So this is very, very interesting. Also, you have Black Aquaman. That's like the person going viral. Some guy swam from the Harriet ship. He's a 16-year-old boy, young man. I would call him a boy. I don't know. I put his name in gematria. His name equals 33. So I don't know. I don't think he's an agent at all. I think they may try to, I don't want to speak this on people's life, but they may try to do something to this person in the future. He's going to become a social media celebrity for sure. He's going to be known throughout his life as Black Aquaman or whatever they want to give names to, but they're going to initiate him. They're going to try to either get him into some type of Masonic circle, or they're probably going to try to sacrifice him. Unfortunately, that's how they do this thing. I'm not trying to speak that over his life, but that's how they do this type thing, you know. So we'll see how all of this unfolds. We'll see how it unfolds. Okay, so a young rapper was sacrificed yesterday by the name of Lil Tay. Well, the news broke yesterday. Name's Lil Tay, and Lil Tay has some of the most egregious music you will ever hear. You see what I'm saying? Some of the most egregious music. Here's an interview. I have that up here. No, that didn't load. I had an interview with Lil Tay. Here we go. Well, not an interview, it's her speaking. Let me play this real quick.
On the top of Beverly Hills, I run this beat. Who do you see doing it like Lil Tay? I'm the youngest one doing it. I run LA. I got shooters there, here. I got shooters everywhere. No one gonna try cross Lil Tay. Look at this view.
So I think so she had 3.3 million followers at the point of they're saying she died. Yeah, people say her parents sacrificed her. It could be she's not dead. She's just going through a period where she's about to switch characters. You see what I'm saying? It may be a period where she's going to switch characters in the future. That's how I look at these things sometimes. Julian says TMZ is now saying she is actually alive and her social media was hacked. Okay, so you see? So she's actually alive, and see, that's what I've tried to tell you, is this is all Masonic initiation, because if she had died, let's just say if she had died, let's just go off Julian saying what he knows from his research. If she did die at 14, dead equals 14. Osiris was cut up in 14 pieces. Her name lines up numerologically in gematria with death, of course. They said her brother passed away as well. Her brother, Jason Tien. I don't know if that's true. You let me know, Julian. And the 3.3 million followers tell you that it was a Masonic ritual. 33 is the highest degree of Masonry. So let's just say if now the report is she isn't dead, they were initiating all of us into a Masonic ritual, basically subliminally telling us that they can control how socialism processes a death. So reasserting the mind control is basically a demonstration. It's called revelation of the method. in masonry. I know Nine Torch. I just said that. I just said it. They said she wasn't dead. All right. You had the Kai Sinnott guy, or Sanat. I don't know how to pronounce these people's names. He has a lot of pictures with the vow of silence covering the one eye. He had a PS5 giveaway. He had a meet and greet or something, some charity event in New York, and a big riot broke out. And they're trying to blame him for this thing, but I think that was initiation. That was a big initiation as well. I even have a video of him admitting that he sold his soul or making a joke about it. Shout out to There Is No Spoon on Instagram. Y'all follow him. He posted this video, and I was trying to find it on Patreon, and the whole time I had the clip from There Is No Spoon. I just couldn't remember his page. But let me play this clip real quick.
Fit, you see the fit? If you know what I'm going for, you know what I'm going for. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to sign that deal. I want to sign the deal. Sell my soul. If you see the fit.
All right, so they say he was making a joke or something like that. But if you look at the group he's a part of on Twitch, the group is called Amp Kai, which is a collective of Black content creators on Twitch, and he's the most famous one. Amp Kai equals 666 in reverse Sumerian, and the incident of him took place in New York, which also equals 666, but that's in regular English Sumerian, which is a sexagismal system using 6. Everything's multiplied by 6 in a reverse reduction as well. So this isn't no coincidences. These people are very much initiated into this thing. Let me see if I covered most. Okay, so they cloned Tyrone. I actually thought it was a good movie. In the movie, they're not really explaining the science of cloning. They're making a caricature of what you truly need to be studying in the movie. What I mean by that is that the cloning in itself is not important in this sense. I'm talking about John Boyega, Jamie Foxx having clones in the movie. What they're saying subliminally is that they're cloning the consciousness and mentality within the melanated community to produce clones of negative archetypes continuously over and over, like a gangster, a pimp, and a hoe. Like in this generation, you got slut rap. You got slut rap, which is a modern form. Well, let me get that graphic for you. So slut rap in the thought music agenda, all of these connections is a new form of what they're trying to introduce and influence melanated women by, or the melanated younger generation of girls, through the means of Ice Spice, Sexy Red, all of these different individuals. So they're all clones of Lil Kim. You see what I'm saying? They're all clones in the mentality through Lil Kim, who started it. So there's a reintroduction, and I'm pretty sure if they are sacrificed, if you check Lil Kim's birth date, and if she just happens to pass in the future, all of them will be murdered by the numbers of who they were, who were the predecessor of their archetype. But you notice in the movie, the only person who wasn't cloned was the hoe. And he explained, he said, we didn't have to clone you because there's so much prevalence of you in the community. There's no need to clone you. But that's not the thing to look at. One thing you should see, that the feminine energy is the savior in the movie. That woman who played the character Yo-Yo, her name is Tiana, I think Tiana Price. She's from Columbia, South Carolina. I just talked about the goddess Columbia. She's from here where I'm from. I think she's 33. I'm not sure. Somebody was 33 in the movie. But the feminine presence saves, the harlot energy, the divine whore is the savior in the movie. And that's not what you're supposed to be looking at. Oh, I'm sorry. Her name is right here. Tiana Paris. Her name is right here. And Paris means Isis, by the way. If you look up the transliteration of Paris, these people actually moved the whole entire temple of Isis in Egypt to Paris. That's how egregious they are. But the whole thing you're supposed to be looking at the movie, if you see a scene where the guy who runs the clone facility has a key word to take control over the clones, it was called Black Olympus. That's what you need to be paying attention to, because it was sort of like the black version of Westworld. But Westworld had literal humanoid machines. These were more like cloned people, but it was the same mind control. All they had to do was speak a word, and there was a hive mind consciousness where he can control all of the black people in the community just by saying words. That's what you needed to pay attention to. Also, they said it could be a clone of a person in every state. Every state could have another clone of a person. Jamie Foxx took a picture next to his clone suit on one of these guys' Instagram pages. And I thought that was interesting, going back to the wax museum and everything. And also his medical condition and all of the stuff that developed or enveloped with that was interesting. And here is a part of the movie that I wanted you to see.
People were y'all. We done crossed the Rubicon. This ain't no vanilla missionary shit.
Okay, why is the video working? Hold on, guys.
People were
Okay, I don't know why the video isn't working, but that was go back and watch that scene. I don't know if my computer is freezing, but it's not showing the video. But go back and watch that scene when they're in the underground cloning facility and listen to what she says and the pictures in the background. Going to show you something significant. Then Jamie Foxx came out and finally told the world, you know, he was going through a hard time, blah, blah, blah. He never revealed what he was going through. And everyone was still saying that Jamie Foxx isn't or doesn't look like Jamie Foxx. So it just adds on to the mystery of what's actually going on with these Hollywood actors and actresses and these Masonic initiations that we continue to go through. Jamie Foxx also had to apologize to the JEWUS. I don't want to say that word on here, because they just automatically call anything bullying when you say something. He said, they killed this dude named Jesus. What do you think they'll do to you? And then he had to apologize to that community. And I thought that was another ritual. So he just caught up in a whole lot of initiations right now. And we got to keep our eyes on what they're going to do with him. All right, let's get to a big part of the video. There's an anime that's out that I want you to see called One Piece. Even if you don't watch the anime, I want you to study this new form that the main character just achieved that has the whole entire anime world on fire right now. Now, what this is, let me explain this. Let me try to explain this for you guys. The One Piece anime is a Skull and Bones Jesuit occult newspaper of esoteric science. The creator of One Piece, Ichiro Oda, equals 201 in gematria. So does Skull and Crossbones in the Jesuit order. In the number 201, the number 201 is important to understand. 201 is denoting a numerical sequence of tracking a geometrical equation of how the sun, moon, and earth lines up during what's called a sorrow cycle, which is an eclipse. This eclipse can subquantumly affect consciousness and can unlock a new secret in nature through cosmological proportions. And I know that's deep to understand right there, but basically what it's saying is that the number 201 is a mystery number that the Jesuits use that has a hidden numerical sequence to predict when eclipses are going to be over a certain region, and it's affecting the consciousness of that particular region. And that's why people's names and phrases that equals 201 is very, very important to them. And not only that, the event that happened, I won't say the word, the pandemic exercise was called Event 201, where they predicted what happened to the world in 2020 back in 2019. That's not a coincidence. So the One Piece in the anime is the most sacred treasure of pirates, which I believe is denoting the Philosopher's Stone in alchemy. The main protagonist, whose name is Luffy, wants to become king of pirates, king of the pirates. King of the pirates equals 201 in gematria. Now you got to understand what this thing is. The first pirates were Moors who were expelled from Spain. So this is the history they don't tell you. The first pirates, they don't even got my photos. Okay, here it is. Okay, some of them. Hold on, guys. Let me go back. Maybe I deleted them. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I definitely got rid of those photos, but there's a connection. Okay, so I'll just up and tell you. I was going to prepare to tell you, but there's another character in the series you got to pay attention to named Blackbeard. So these photos are the original pirates. By the way, Moor equals 201 in satanic gematria. But this character, Blackbeard, you have to pay attention to this thing. And if you don't understand, you don't have to watch anime or be interested in this thing to know what's going on. So if it's, oh man, he's talking about anime and stuff, you got to get over that to get the science. All right, so Luffy is the main character, and this thing is packed with symbolism and Jesuit rituals. So it's one of the most important animes to watch. You see the logo down here of One Piece is the skull and crossbones with the straw hat that Luffy wears. But you got the skull and bones 322 connection. So the first pirates were Moors who were expelled from Spain, which made them voyagers of the sea, ransacking and controlling the Moroccan Iberian Peninsula, which was the most ideal trade port because of this area called the Strait of Gibraltar, which I told you in Trump's Mar-a-Lago house. He has this towel built into one of the main rooms in his Mar-a-Lago house that has the Strait of Gibraltar embroidered in it with the saying plus ultra, beyond the future. It means beyond those who can be, those who are part of something beyond the future. It's some occult term, but it's called plus ultra. And it's a society. There's a Disney movie they made about this society called Tomorrowland. And in Tomorrowland, you receive this pin that you put inside of your shirt, and the pin has the Trump T symbol on it, which is interesting. And basically, you go invisible, and when you go invisible, you cross into this hyper-dimensional kingdom that's set up all across the world that people can't see, and you become a part of this secret society that receives the highest advanced technology before the rest of society receives it. It's called hyperspace kingdoms. Trump has the Strait of Gibraltar with that phrase on his walls. The Strait of Gibraltar was an area that the Moors controlled, and it was known to be the gateway to the New World, which would become America. The Europeans did not have a ocean map of what's beyond the Strait of Gibraltar in early time in history. Only the Moors did. Even Christopher Columbus or Cristobal wrote about the Moors, who were the pilot of his ship, having access to information of the oceans and different currents before Europeans did. So One Piece is showing how the development of the new world takes place. They even have something in it called the world government. But it's showing you how the development of the new world took place after the Moors ruled. And all of this is more symbolism. Okay, so Luffy has an X on his chest. He acquired it in a battle. Well, I don't think he fought the battle. It's something else. Y'all One Piece people, y'all can put it in there. I don't really care. But this X is important to understand this year because Twitter just became X. And I was showing you earlier how the X and some of the symbolism with the T's, the crosses, I call it T's, but the crosses earlier make the Masonic compass. But if you turn Elon Musk's new Twitter logo upside down, it looks like the Masonic compass. If you put 2 and 2 together, put 2 X's together. So it's describing the Masonic compass, but the true occult secret of the X is the 201 code, which is talking about an eclipse that's coming in 2024. So the X on Luffy's chest and the X in Twitter is esoteric symbolism. in 2024, there's an eclipse coming called the Path of Totality, which will complete a X through America of the eclipse that we had this year. We are having this year on October 14th, the annual solar eclipse. So the X is also representative of the god Osiris. Because Osiris has his arm crossed, he makes this X, and most of the pharaohs was buried in the same way Osiris crosses his arms. Or crosses these instruments in his hand, same thing. So what we're witnessing is Osirian rituals, and Osiris is the original Christ archetype who rose from the dead. And when he rose from the dead, he became his son, who is Horus. Luffy has an X on his chest, and he recently was killed. I won't say he was killed, but he was on the verge of death in a battle he was having with this dragon, the dragon called Kaido. So the dragon is also talking about the Moors as well. You have to understand this. The dragons were the Typhonians. They were the Phoenicians, the Indus Kushites. They were all called dragons in the ancient time. Even the Setians were the dragons. Still talking about the Moors. So when he's battling this Kaido character, also the dragon represents Satan as well. Represents Satan as well. Where is this goddamn dragon? Here it goes, right here. Okay. So this is the dragon. Okay. This guy. So they eat these things called devil fruits. I'm gonna get into in a minute. You gotta understand what the devil fruit is. I'm gonna give you all of what you need. If you watch One Piece, you're gonna know exactly what this shit talking about. Because I never even watched One Piece. I watched a couple of episodes. I probably watched about 2 or 3 episodes, and it was like latest episodes and a couple of old ones. Then I started to read the whole manuscript of the entire history, because One Piece is like 1,000 episodes. But it's telling some stuff of the soul, what's about to happen with the soul. So you better understand what I'm about to explain, and don't sleep on it. I see a lot of people dropping out because I'm talking about anime, but that's the problem. We don't understand advanced things. We always got to look at some celebrities and other stuff. Okay, so Luffy has this X on his chest. He ascends to his final form called Gear 5, who is called the sun god in the anime Nika, which the pirates say that the sun god will return one day. The sun god in the series, well, first of all, Luffy had to die for him to become the sun god. The sun god in the series is named Joy Boy. Let me explain this. He had to die because Osiris dies to become Horus. So he died to become Nika, who is called Joy Boy. Now, Joy Boy is something, energy that the Jesuits is tracking, a voodoo god energy that's returning to the planet from the time frame of the pirates. And they told Ichiro to unleash this form of Luffy in this exact year for a reason. because it aligns with something that's happening right now with some other things I'm gonna tell you. So Joy Boy is a voodoo god from the West Indies. He's the second or third famous voodoo god to Alegba and Baron Samedi, and he's a spirit whose heart represents the literal vibratory frequency of contrapuntal drum play that can change and control the soul of anyone Joy Boy's heart influences. I'm talking about the literal one, not Luffy. Luffy has the ability, when he turns into Joy Boy, Luffy now has the power. So he continuously laughs. He's in a joyous state. But these drums start to play, and this big ass elephant, you got to listen when you go play this episode, listen to what the elephant is saying. The elephant says, when the drums of liberation plays, then the sun god will return. They talking about fucking Horus. And they're talking about the heart chakra. The drums is the heart chakra. So they're talking about the anahata chakra in us all. But I got to explain this before I get into that. I got to break down the science of this thing. And just to tell you, just to show you that the Jesuits is controlling this One Piece thing, they even had Luffy with the 56 on his jersey right here as a kid. This is one of the biggest numbers of the Jesuits. 5 + 6 is 11, a master number. Light in gematria equals 56 in Hebrew gematria. So it's an important number to them. But Joy Boy is back. Joy Boy has returned to the planet, and it's a frequency they're trying to stop. So the reason why I know that Joy Boy returns 2023. In 2023 is the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And what music genre utilizes drums more than hip hop right now? You see what I'm saying? You gotta know. You gotta know what's happening. Mind control equals 56. All right. So Joy Boy has returned to the planet, and that means something is going on in the genetics right now that you can tap into it as well. It's a power and a frequency of the heart chakra. So rhythm, the power of rhythm is the power of Joy Boy. He is called the Lord of Dancers, who inspires festivals in older countries. He traveled the Caribbeans through the shipment of slaves from West Africa. Now, in the One Piece series, they got slaves and all types of shit up in there. You know? So the power of Joy Boy is the power of the heart chakra in us all. And for us to access it, we have to understand exactly what the heart chakra is. And those who have the open heart chakra are going to be able to go to a new level in 2023 because of this particular entity that the Jesuits are saying it must be a threat to them, because they're encoding it in the anime, the most popular anime in the planet, during the year that hip hop gets its 50th anniversary. And next year, hip hop for the first time is going to be in the Olympics. So I know it's important to them. It's very important. Now, let me explain this heart chakra to you. So the chakras is heaven's energy force. So there's realms like I described with Gehenna. Heaven's energy force tends to charge the right side of our brain, while the Earth's energy force, which is more of the Gehenna low vibratory realms, charges the left side of the brain. The parts of the body where these forces collide form a union that is called the chakras, and each generates an electromagnetic flow towards the outside, at the same time are receiving invisible forces from the surrounding atmosphere to charge the inside, the internal function. All right. You see these chakras here going down this graphics body in this green auric field. In the anime One Piece, they have something called devil fruit. The devil fruit are the chakras. I'm going to go ahead and give you that. The devil fruit are the chakras, and the one Luffy has, I don't know all of the chakras. Blackbeard, who is the only, I think he's the only black character in the series, or that tall skeleton Afro guy. Y'all know the name. This dude too, I think he's melanated, but he has an afro, so I thought that was interesting. But and he's a skeleton like Osiris. But Blackbeard ate 3 devil fruits, it was just revealed. And he has the power over darkness. He has the power to control gravity and the power to control darkness. In the series, interesting because he's a black pirate. You said Brook the Skeleton. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know all these people now. I don't know all of that. I know he can freeze hell. I know that this character has the ability to freeze fire and shit like that. He's from the Satan realm. Didn't they say he's from like the Satan realm or some shit? So it's a very vast anime. Very vast anime. Okay. What is the devil fruit in the series? So when you eat a devil fruit, you acquire abilities. Let me show you this. The devil fruit, when they say you eat the devil fruit, you acquire abilities. This is a chart of the Kabbalah, and the caduceus is the energy currents that passes through the chakras. And when these serpents bite the top of this is the devil fruit that they're talking about that's getting bit. And the serpent is representative of the person who reaches and is able to acquire this level of consciousness through the heart chakra. The heart chakra is the gate. And the reason why it's called the devil fruit, because biblically they speak about the serpent offering the fruit to Eve, which is the feminine energy, the heavenly force on the right hemisphere of the brain that opens up the gates to the metaphysical realms. So you have to understand the symbology of what they're saying when they're speaking about these animes. The reason why pirates are important. You ever see that the pirates have this one eye patch? The one eye patch does not mean that the pirate lost the eye. It was so that when the pirates went below the deck on the ship, they always had one eye adjusted to darkness, because it was a time frame where they didn't have the proper lighting on the ships. But it's also talking about the story of Horus losing his eye, and how the pineal gland right here makes the shape of the eye of Horus. How do I know what the fuck I'm talking about? The word pirate is talking about the rate of pi. And when you look at the eye of Horus, you're looking at the symbol of pi here. You see these appendages coming out of the bottom. We talked about the virile worm. You see these appendages coming out of the eye is high geometric science that they're showing. Horus gets his eye ripped out from Set, which is his uncle. I can explain all of this, but the pirate in itself is a occult symbology that the Moors encrypted some Masonic information, and the later Europeans gravitated to it and reciprocated it. You see what I'm saying? So put a thumbs up if you understand the eye patch science and why pi in the Eye of Horus connects to the pirates. Put a thumbs up if that is explained, or put a thumbs down if you don't understand it. So the Eye of Horus is also talking about Lucifer. Lucifer is the light. This is the sigil of Lucifer. And this is the geometric mathematics of how you actually can see. It's through the science of this sigil of what Lucifer is, but it's the pineal gland that is allowing you to see in the first place, which is the Eye of Horus. And that's the reason why the series One Piece is centered around pirates. It's talking about Horus, and Horus in the series is Luffy, and he becomes Joy Boy. Joy Boy's special power is that whatever he imagines becomes reality. I told you about the power of the imagination a couple of videos ago. So now the people who have the open heart chakra will acquire the ability of Joy Boy to make their imaginations come true. And I could go deeper into that, but I don't want to beat a dead horse. I don't want to beat a dead horse. There's a hold on. I want to talk about this Anatahata some more. Let me see. Hold on real quick. So the Anatahata is a quasi-mystic dissemination of information called the Rishi, and it's talking about a cymatic physics inside of us. It makes the shape of a cymatic triyantra. Jesus is always pointing to his heart in different pictures, and the yantra locates how the cymatic structure is forming both the gateway and the chariot, or the UAP's base conceptionality. So inside of us, Christ is the heart chakra. He is the bright and morning star. And the power that we get is when we can open up dimensions through the heart chakra, through the centripetal force of our Kundalini, which gives us the power to make the imagination formulate realities and new universes that is determined by the consciousness that we're actually that we're working with at that point of time of the convergence. So the heart chakra is a portal right now for you to create realities of your own. And Joy Boy, everybody should put the Joy Boy on the altar. It doesn't matter your race. You go get that Joy Boy and you put it on your altar. If you can find Joy Boy, put it up on your altar, and you're accessing the power of the heart chakra, or you're getting what you're doing. Joy Boy isn't a deity or some type of god. You have to understand the science. Joy Boy is just representative of you acknowledging that there is a opening of the heart chakra inside of you. That's occult metaphysics. And it's powerful when you can do this type of thing. It's the highest science on the planet. It's the highest science that you can access on the planet. But the X is prevalent in everything. Even Mithras, he stands on this X, and the X marks the spot. The X is the heart chakra. All right, let me see. Yeah, I've been on here for a minute. I still got a lot of information. I'm probably going to break this in two, guys. I'm going to break this up in two because I still haven't covered a lot of things that I want to cover. The Netflix show you need to watch right now is called Paradise. Paradise. This is a TV series that you have to see. It was released on June 27th. I'm going to break this down how these numbers mean something too. On June 27th, it leaves 157 days left in the year. 157 is the 37th prime number. Paradise equals 37 in reduction gematria. So they knew what they were doing releasing this show on this date. In the show or the movie, the Netflix movie, it's about a new technology that the elites probably have already developed in real life called chrono transfers. Meaning, if you were less fortunate financially, what they're doing, they're preying on the poor classes of the world. They will come to the poor group of people and offer large sums of cash, let's say about $700,000. And that poor person could sell the time they have in their body to the rich so that the rich can live longer. So you're selling time. And let me tell you, this is some Gnostic ass shit here that you got to see, because the company is called Aeon. And you know, Aeon, the Aeons is talking about the waters above the firmament, the levels of vibrations of rims above where we live in this rim. But the people within this, I think it's in Germany, they start to rebel against this company Aeon, and they're calling it ageism. Sounds like racism, but it's called ageism in an AI dominant era. So the main character in the movie, whose name is Max, is interesting because his wife signed some type of what did you call it? It was like a will or something tied to her chrono transfer, that if something happened to their apartment, she would have to give 38 years of her life. 38 in gematria equals death. So she became an old woman in the series. But the person who owns the company Aeon is a woman named Sophie. And the main actor in real life birthday is on May 30th, which is National Sophia Day. So just interesting because Sophia is the Achamoth in Aeon Gnostic theology, and she is the mother of Yahweh. So go check this show out. You're going to get a lot of science, and it's something that we're going to have to look at this time. Okay, I'm going to open up for questions. I'm going to open up for questions. I'm about to post the link in here, guys. And we'll end it off with questions and get up out of here. Just put the link in for anyone who wants to come up and ask questions, or I'll allow for somebody to share something before we get up out of here. You said 3 hours of fire. Appreciate that, Mr. Pizerox. You said they came out with a new Bird Box movie, Jarvian, a few weeks ago. You said it reminds you of Amazon's show called Upload. Yeah, I had the Justin Timberlake movie right next to it too, Simone. I had that right next to it. Well, I'm gonna assume that most of everyone is at work right now. Oh, somebody just came in. Let me let them in. What's going on, family?
What's up? I'm all right. Yeah, I had a question about, has to do with the control numbers.
Yes,
Because,
control numbers.
yeah, does melanin have a vibratory relationship with the number 4? Because I was learning about that. And that the 404, and you even see those error 404 numbers, that it has something to do with, there's imprisonment that happens when, I don't know if it has to do with the observer that sees the number. It like affects us because we're like, it's something to do with Saturn maybe, like we're entrapped in time and stuff. That's the way I interpreted it, but some information I came across, I wanted to know if it had anything to do with that, because 44 is an angelic number.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. But when you say it has something to do strictly with melanin, melanin is the physics of darkness. So every number has a relationship in a vibratory rate to darkness. Every number is angel and demon numbers are connected to melanin, and that's why most of the humiliation rituals are centered around melanated dominant people. You know, that's the biggest food to the archons, is to kill us, because they know the science of it, or at least humiliate us. So
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because we just came when that these numbers, and so how can we like manipulate them to use them? You're given a method with like an analogy with the dice. Like when you see these numbers, it's a opportunity, like in the future, to change. Because when I see like 555, I think there's like a big change gonna come, or some type of significant change.
yes, I explained that every time you see an angel number, every number has a vibratory rate, and the rate relates back to a color, because the color is encoding how the heavenly realm, when they say Lucifer's fall, they're speaking about the fall of the heaven realm, the light that fell just as the Titans fell from Olympus to Tartarus. It's the same thing going on with the Lucifer deal. And the light, once it falls, it falls by becoming separated into what we call colors. Colors is another, Sanskrit name is kalas. It means pockets. It means like pockets of time or something like that. That's what kalas mean, pockets of time. But the numbers give us the ability to change our destiny thread. So the angel numbers are saying that the soul is presenting a alchemical opportunity for you to change the trajectory of your destiny thread. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
So to how to do it, you have to come on Patreon or just reach out to me, startribe777@gmail.com. I just can't explain all of that here right now, but I know in this video I gave a good piece of it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, there's a lot of potential with like doing that, and it can branch off into different ways.
Right. It's I said earlier, it's chaos physics. So I explained it's Newtonian physics, chaos physics, and it's the Lorentz method. So we're going to start teaching it in an advanced course on Patreon. And aren't you a patron?
I gotta re-up soon.
Okay, so yeah, make sure you get on the $20 tier and up. I'm not putting those classes on the $5 tier, and you'll get that information. Yeah, you'll get all of that information within a week.
Okay, cool.
All right, and I appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, peace to you, God. I apologize, Pizarro. Pronounce your name wrong. Ryan asks, what lectures are next up for YouTube? Also Patreon. Well, you know your lecture is up for Patreon. So we're going to have Ryan is one of the linguists in the NAGAPATHU system that's teaching how can we connect to the all of the universe in the presence of energies in these vibratory rates that's conducive to the numbers, our language, utterances that we make in mantras, conscious meditative states that we say mentally within ourselves. He's teaching and leading the classes on that. So Ryan is going to be back on. We'll try to get you on, if not this week, early next week. And the next lecture, I'm going to do a part 2, if not on Gnostic genetics, it'll go into something else. And we'll go deeper into that realm of truth and some other aspects of plasma cosmotheology. So I can go into angelology. I wasn't able to go into angelology today. But we got a lot to chop up game about. I'll be on the Beyond the Forbidden YouTube channel probably later on today. He hasn't messaged me back yet. So if not, it might be reserved for the weekend or something like that. I'll see if that happens, but that'll be some more information today. But I appreciate y'all. I guess that's good. Hope you all learned something. I got to really get some rest because I got to go to work later on, but I got to go by the shop and check up on my family. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Join Patreon if you like this science. And if the info resonated, if you could send a donation to the PayPal link, it really helps. If you want me to be on YouTube more, then you guys can make it my full-time job to be on YouTube more by offering something, because I got to go out here and go get it. And I can't share all the information that I'm understanding with this thing. So make sure to make a donation if you can. $5 helps. That at least can, buy some diapers so I can get my son some diapers. So I appreciate y'all. Peace and chaos. I'll report y'all. Until next time, I say to the ancestors.